Equity in Help Inc. is a unique investment that also helps people. The essential point is that you make money like a bank. Banks being one of the most powerful institutions in this world. Banks have toppled governments, raised nations, and are part of almost every facet of our life. In truth, you're not a real investor unless you're investing like a bank. Banks do two things. Primarily, they hold money and lend money. But in reality, they just hold cash so they can lend more money. When it comes to lending, that's why banks are in every facet of society. Lending is the bedrock that supports the industry of car buying, home improvements, college, fix and flip, rentals, startup business, growing business, medicine, vacations, hotels, development. All of these major industries are what they are today because of lending. And no matter how much money these industries make, the banks are right there, making more. You may think you've heard of a better way to invest your money. But if it involves borrowing money, then there's someone profiting more off your hard work than you are. Interested? In 2008, there was a prominent real estate crash. This created hundreds of thousands of foreclosed homes that are still being produced today, regardless of the improvements the American economy has made. Most of the companies in the real estate industries have taken the obvious opportunities: foreclosed homes in big towns, places where the majority of the population is, where they can get a quick flip on borrowed money. But this is really the big banks game. They set it up 40 years ago and are now reaping the rewards. Separately, there's rural America, these towns with 1,000 to 10,000 people. These towns have a unique quality that many overlook. They're full of handy people, do-it-yourselfers. These people have strong family ties and care about their community. They didn't go to fancy colleges and were not raised on how to balance checkbooks and build their credit score. But they do have weekend projects. They build furniture. They don't have bank accounts. They keep their money under their bed. This big city world where everyone is so disconnected was not built for them. They care too much about the satisfaction of a hard day's work and believe in what they can see. These people are under the foot of the industries today. They spend over 50% of their income on rent. They never started building credit. And even though these people would genuinely value it, they would never get approved by a bank to buy a home. These people not only deserve help, but unlike the city folk, they don't need a home to be in perfect condition or to have the most modern paint colors and appliances to see the potential. In fact, all these people see is potential. Where others see an old cabinet, they know what it could be. Where others see an old piece of driftwood, they see a table for their family. Where others see an old broken house, this person sees that with a couple of weekends, they can have a lovely home they can own and raise their family in. The opportunity here is, instead of getting home only a bank would afford outright, you can invest your 401k, IRA, or retirement savings and get a few cheap old houses in middle America that a family will happily pay you to live in, while they take responsibility for improving it and fixing it up. That's making money like a bank while helping American families in the process. This system is not for everyone. Not everyone can see and think with the long term. But that's why banks are so powerful. It's because they're playing the long game. One of the critical things about the bank's game is they don't put all their money in one basket. They lend to thousands of people. Otherwise, lending doesn't work. It's an average game. If you make 15% per loan and lend to one person, your investment lives or dies by that one person, either 0% or 15%. When you lend to 100 people and 70% of the people pay as they should, then you've made a 10% return on all of your money, including the people who don't pay. This is how you handle dealing with the question, how do you trust these people with your money? Part of the way that banks make their money is they don't only lend what they actually have. That's why banks will loan $100,000 at 5%, because since banks have other people's money too, they only have to put up $50,000 of their own money, meaning they make 10% on that 50,000, even though the borrower is paying 5% on the 100,000 they spend. With us, it's the same thing. You buy a rundown home for $40,000, then without doing anything to it, can lend $60,000 on it to a family. And instead of making the 12% the family pays you, you make 16% on your money. But don't forget, since you lend to many people and only most of them pay, on $400K, you still make 10%. When you lend money secured by an asset, there are really only three paths. One, they either don't pay and you get the improved asset back to resell and profit off of. Two, they pay off the loan to you when they find a lower rate to borrow money with, and you make all your money back plus equity. Three, they pay off the loan in the agreed upon way, and you get profit plus all your money back. The third option's the worst one. That's the real stability against recession. When you're a bank, you're not buying percentage shares of something. You own properties outright. The plus side is you have a real asset. You own a piece of America. And as America grows, those pieces of land you own will increase in value. It can be passed to your children and your children's children. During the Great Recession, a few individuals bought up New York for dirt cheap and are now some of the richest in the world. The downside is you own a unique set of assets, so if you want to get your cash out of the investment, you have to find a different person who wants to be a bank to buy them or be responsible for dealing with realtors to sell them individually. Banks don't operate in one geographical area. Since the main difference between a borrower and a tenant is that a tenant isn't really responsible for the home, and a borrower is. When you're a bank, geography matters much less. E&H manages properties in over 300 counties in 37 states. We go where the deals are and in small towns. The game is not then about finding properties in your city or state because that's the way borrowers think, not banks. This also means you have to trust E&H with which properties to buy. Being in highly specialized markets and buying the property sight unseen, you'll have to trust our knowledge as to what to buy, where to buy, and in what condition. With all of your properties in different areas, it means as an individual you couldn't manage the properties yourself, making you reliant on a company like E&H to find, purchase, set up, sell, collect, and evict people from your home. For some, this might be scary. They want something to run, something to control. To others, it's freeing knowing that you have a company that's doing the heavy lifting, and you as the ultimate decision maker. Of course, you're not stuck with one company to manage this. Well, E&H is the best in the business and the only one-stop shop. You, as the bank, can always fire E&H and use various other companies together to get the same product at a somewhat reasonable price. A plus and a minus for owning these low-cost homes is you own the properties via a specific legal strategy used by millionaires and banks all over the world, where each property is put in something called a trust. Think trust fund. This hides the assets. They're protected if you file bankruptcy, and a firewall exists if either you or the property is ever subject to lawsuit. This also means your ownership is noted in your own private trust document, and you won't find your personal name or company name on the deed or any state registry. Dealing with lending, the job is to find motivated, hard-working, low-income people, not victims looking for handouts. We don't deal with properties in the ghetto or Section 8 participants. Investing is supposed to be easy. The problem is, nowadays many corporations have made investing hard, complicated, and based on speculation and inflation. Equity and Help Inc. will provide you with a true, hassle-free, attention-free investment you can understand. You get real asset ownership, a dedicated representative who will take your call day or night, easy to understand monthly reporting. We're one of a kind, and so are our investors. If you'd like to make 8 to 12% like a bank, while really impacting and changing hardworking people's lives? Call Equity and Help Inc. or send us an email today.